Okay, what we're going to do now, we've added our materials and we've got everything working as it should, hopefully. We've brought in our world here, but we've got this lamp that's currently shining on here. Look, and you can see it reflecting off our model. So what we need to do is make this lamp a bit more direct and have a bit more purpose. So let's just turn the plane off and let's study our image a little bit. Now you'll notice that if we look at our image, this lady's shadow is casting in this direction, which suggests that the light source is over here, fairly low because it's casting a long shadow. And that's borne out by the fact that the light is hitting this, the top ever so slightly, and then the side here, but not here. Same thing, the dog is casting a shadow this direction just to blur it out, and the rocks being lit this side but not this side, shadows being cast this way. So it tells us that the light is up here somewhere, fairly low, and that makes perfect sense. So let's have a look what we can do. Let's try and recreate that. So let's come to solid view, and if we imagine here's our camera looking down at our object. Here's our lady here. We want our light to be up here somewhere. So I'm going to select this lamp, come to the lamp settings and change it to an area lamp. I'm going to make it 20 by 20, so it's fairly diffuse because it's kind of in the in the evening, as it were. I'm going to use nose, and I'm going to make the colour akin to that of these kind of colours we're getting over the top of the building. So I've just colour selected, look, here. I'm going to come to HSV. I'm going to make the saturation kind of 5-ish, can make it quite warm. I'm going to leave this fully on. And we can actually leave the hue. Yeah, hue about there. Okay. So if we were to turn rendering on now, look, rendered. See, that shine is gone now. Let's turn the plane on as well, that would help. But this light really isn't doing anything much at the moment. So let's put it up from 100 to say 50,000. Now we can see that lamp doing something. Okay. So we're saying that the sun is really powerful. So let's say 90,000. And it's fairly diffuse and wide, but not that diffuse and wide. And it's kind of made up of this orangey warm light. Okay. So the problem is this sun is sitting right next to our object. So let's move it roughly to where we think it should be. So I'm just going to rotate it so it's angling downwards. So bear with me a second. I've got it on local still, so let's just rotate on a local axis. Let's point it kind of down like so. And like so. Let's flatten it out a bit. There we go. Let's come back to local view. Let's take it backwards a bit away from our camera. Like so. Let's take it to the left a bit. Let's look through our camera. And let's bring it up a bit. So it's kind of in this position. Akin to the camera a bit more. So let's see what we get now. Let's come to our rendered view. So now it's starting to cast shadows in the correct position. And it's casting them in roughly the right places. Along this edge, this leading edge, the top, and this side. Again, it's just a little bit too close. Okay. Compared to the background image. So we need to just take it further away. So let's come to solid view. And let's be a bit more methodical. So if we picture that same angle, let's take it further away. Further, further, further. And let's take it up a smudge. Look through our camera, see what we've got. getting quite close now. So let's try it a bit more. So let's take it further away. Let's see what that gives us. So the light is just catching the leading edge here. Catching the top here. Maybe just needs to catch this side a little bit more, say. So let's come into solid view. So let's move it to that side a little bit more. Possibly a little bit higher. We just need to keep an eye on the length of the shadows. Yeah, because the length of those shadows is a little bit too long at the moment. Possibly. Let's just make our plane a little bit bigger, just to capture all that shadow information. So we're still in edge select mode. Let's pull them fully out, just to make sure we're capturing everything. Like so. Tab out of edit mode. And maybe just for good measure, we'll just take our lantern just a little bit higher. Just to make them not as long, those shadows. Rendered view. Starting to look quite nice. Got some nice well-defined shadows. And if we compare that to her shadow here, that looks about exactly the same angle. We've got a nice colour temperature coming through, fairly similar. We might be a bit too saturated, so we can bring down the saturation a little. And that's not looking bad at all. Okay, we can go and play around with those. If we wanted to soften that light off a smudge, we could make these X and Y's a bigger, basically the size of the lantern kind of mimics the size of diffusion. But that's not looking bad. Okay, so there we go. We have tried to mimic the lighting and the color temperatures to what we've got here. We've got some world lighting catching some bounce light in there. And we've got our plane here. The one thing that we haven't done is we haven't mimicked the light bouncing off this ground back onto our object. So let's come to our plane. Let's give it a material, new, and let's color pick from the environment around it. And if I just turn plane off as I do the eye off as I do this, let's just, I think it's, yeah, there we go. Slightly less saturated than this. Let's pull it down a bit. Let's turn its eye back on. And the reason we're doing that is that this is now not only receiving the light that's coming down, it's bouncing some of that light back. So, and that just gives us the impression. Let's turn the saturation down a bit. Like so. And that's now going to mimic the colour of this light bouncing back onto our object. And there we go. So we've brought our object in, added the textures, and we've tried to match the lighting as best we can, similar to that of our object just here, or our person. Match the shadow direction, just with some simple methodical things. So the next one, I'm going to be looking at how we can get rid of this floor, but keep its interaction with our object in terms of its bounce light. Keep these shadows, but get rid of the plane, so it looks like it's composited on top of this environment. Thank you.